Time to learn more cybersecurity. All right, guys. So we've been talking about something that's called malware. If you're studying cybersecurity, you need to understand what malware is. And essentially, malware is code designed to perform some kind of malicious activity. We've talked about ransomware and we've talked about viruses. Now, today, I want to talk about worms. So, guys, we talked about viruses and how viruses need to be attached to some kind of host file that gets delivered, and then the virus executes and performs some kind of malicious activity. However, worms don't need to be attached to any kind of file. The worms are the files, they are the executable themselves, they are the deliverable. Once a worm finds its way onto your network, onto a vulnerable system, it spreads like wildfire. It doesn't need human interaction. As soon as it hits its target, it starts looking for other ways to spread across your network, and it will absolutely wreak havoc. A fantastic analogy to use for worms is like weeds in your garden. Once the weeds sprout up, they will start spreading seeds by themselves, whether it's through the wind or through water or whatever. But as soon as the weed seeds get into your garden, they grow like crazy. They don't need to be tended by any kind of human. They just go crazy and spread across your entire garden. That is what a worm will do. The worm doesn't need interaction from a human. As soon as it hits its target, it just starts spreading like crazy. So two things when it comes to worms. It can have a payload, meaning an actual intention of why it's trying to spread across your network, or it can simply just be causing havoc, eating up network bandwidth, hitting your system, taking up CPU processing, and essentially rendering systems useless, right? Performing a distributed denial of service. So again, guys, the best way to actually become accustomed to what a worm is and learn it is to research real world examples, right? I always get on here and I give you the high level summaries of what these are. I always say, go do your research and look at what actually has happened in the real world. What you're going to want to look at is something called Stuxnet. This happened in the past. This was a highly sophisticated worm that spread like crazy, and it was able to damage actual industrial control systems, right? This was a cyber attack that had physical ramifications in the world. This is what malware does. And look at Stuxnet and you'll get a really good idea of what a worm is and how it spreads. Stuxnet, the worm, was able to damage programmable logic controllers, PLCs. These are just things that interact with hardware. The worm was able to damage these centrifuges while also appearing and making it look like nothing was ever wrong. The worm was able to spread via 0 days patches that haven't been discovered or remediated yet. It essentially just looked for Siemens PLCs, and as soon as it was able to find one on the network, it went to that target and started doing its thing. So guys, worms, they are the program itself. They are the deliverable itself. They don't need human interaction. They spread like wildfire and they perform some kind of malicious activity, whether it's distributed denial of service, eating up resources, or they carry an actual payload and an actual intent to cause